So strategic planning is kind of like, it has to be those three.
Right. So is there any that you're particularly fond of that you'd like to be on?
I've been on the Americanism, Technology, Instruction and Technology, and Legislative and Policy Review, and I like both of them, so I prefer to stay where I'm at.
Okay.
What do you think about chairing that? Since you've been doing that, you have used continuity.
So this is the legislative one you'd like to chair?
In American Instruction and Technology, correct?
I would rather chair the American Instruction and Technology than the policy, legislative policy.
So, I would stay a member if you so choose to keep it, I would move from the chair.
Okay. Mr. Ranky, what interests you?
You know, I guess I've been involved with the budget and finance and the instruction technology. I don't have I guess I'm fine with how Brad laid it out. I'm okay with what he did there.
Some budget and finance.
Right, in the building and grounds.
Mr. Coinston, you got any preferences?
I'm perfectly fine with what I've been penciled in with budget and finance, and also the building and grounds, and legislative and policy. I think those are all perfectly fine with me.
I would ask you if you would entertain being the chair of that building and grounds. I'm not too fond of being the chair of one of those just yet.
Yeah, that's fine with me. No problem there.
Mr. Ford, you're next. I'm sorry.
The only other comment I would have is on these, the community members. Now, it's been brought to my attention that, my wife's actually on one of these committees, and, I've talked to another member that's on one of these committees, and they're basically inactive, is what they've told me.
It's true, right. If you look at the dates up there, I think June 2012 might have been when they were contacted by board members, and since then we've had a lot of transition, but typically community members are contacted by the chairs of the committee and asked to attend committee meetings.
Well, both of these individuals told me that they've never been contacted.
I think initially they were in 2011.
Right, but that's
Right.
4 years ago. A lot of things changed in 4 years.
Exactly, and when the chairs changed, they may not have been
They
contacted to
were-
see if they wanted to
I
remain on
think
the
they were
committee.
kind of actually upset because they've been approached by people from the community about why this community did this or what's going on, and they had no idea
That
that
would
meetings
be
were even
the-
taking
right.
place or the opinions of these committees.
And that'll be the chair's responsibility of that committee.
I would think it'd be a good idea to strike these community members off these current chairs.
Could, and start with a fresh slate.
Yeah.
We could do that. And then we would leave it up to the chair and those committee members as to whether or not they want to invite someone else to attend those meetings. It's always a good idea to have stakeholders present. Up to you.
And then in the
So do
future,
we just pick somebody that we want, or?
I think that's initially how Jeff did this, was he contacted people that were on his committee and said, hey, would you like to be a community member on the budget and finance team? And they either said yea or nay. I wasn't involved with that.
Is it even necessary as a board? Do we feel it's necessary to have community members on these boards? Or do you think it'd be a better resource to,
I do think it's extremely important to have community input on the board, but it needs to be utilized. It needs to
Right.
be, the chairs of these board, or committees need to be using the members of the community. They're the ones that got us here.
Right. And I typically don't always attend committee meetings.
Well, let's leave that up to the chairman to decide who they want to reach out to in the public.
I think that's a good idea.
and for the time being, I'd like these names removed so there's no confusion on who is or is not.
Okay.
Mr. Ford, you've got a good handle on all this already, right? Okay?
Is there a rule? You have to be in 1, 2, 3, any specific number you have new here?
Yeah, there's no specific rule,
Okay.
Chris. If you're chairing one, typically we try to limit you to 2. If you're not chairing one, sometimes you fall into 3. And like I mentioned before, strategic planning typically is the chair of the budget finance, instruction and technology, and the building and grounds.
Okay. I would feel comfortable in the budget and finance. And there's a spot there, instruction and technology.
Mr. Vice President,
I'm content with where I'm at now. Perfect.
so explain to me where you're at right now.
I'm a member of the American Instruction and Technology Committee.
And where else are you?
I'm a member of the American Instruction and Technology Committee.
You see, there's only one person in policy that has chosen to be in policy. That's what I understand.
I feel that that would definitely not be my forte.
Well, I will take policy. Now, there's only 2 of us in there.
We
Chris,
have to take Brad off of strategic planning now, because if he's not the chair of instruction and technology, then that has to be Krista. Of strategic planning. So then, yes, Mr. Vice President, you probably should have
I'm
these.
chair of strategic planning, I thought it was gonna be
American.
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 Well, it's Americanism, instruction and technology that you're chair of,
Oh, I see what
and you
you're saying.
flipped
Yeah.
with Brad,
Yeah, I see
so
what
that
you're
puts you there.
I can't fill all the rest of them. It's gonna be kind of difficult.
Okay, let's see, what are we missing?
We got 3 in budget and finance, we got
And
3
he's chair.
in American instruction, counting you, we got 2 in grounds, and I said I would do policy. Let me help you out. I'll
I
do-
thought
we had 3
Ranky,
grounds.
Mr. Ranky,
Wait.
Mr. Coins, and Mr.
Dave
White.
hasn't said yes yet.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna say, I'll help you out, I'll take building and grounds for you. That means that's leaving you, just narrowing you right down to policy.
I
So-
would love to be on that committee, I guess, Mr. Coins.
Good, would you be interested in being the chairman
I
of it?
would not.
Well, now, wait a minute, then that puts Krista as the chair of
So I was beginning to
technology,
wonder.
strategic planning and policy. Equitable, no.
I
That's
hate to
nothing
tell you
for
this,
her.
but the red light on the caboose is going by, Mr. Higgins. I think you're the chairman of the policy committee. It'll be okay. I will try to help you, we can have some great discussions. Is that reasonable, is that acceptable to everyone at the table?
Will this spreadsheet be updated at some point?
Yes.
Yeah, we might need some pressure.
I couldn't cross out.
Little messy.
Do you wanna go through,
It
Dave,
will be in
just,
your strategic planning package, okay?
would you wanna go through just to make sure it's clean, just so,
Okay,
okay?
what I have marked down is, let me find my cheat sheet, I got, budget and finance, I got Rankin, Quinson, and Ford. American Instruction, I got Schindler, Ford, and Higgins.
Okay.
I got building and grounds, I got Ranky, Quinson, and Wright.
And you had, for chair, are you having Ryan chair that, that's, okay, yeah, you said, okay. I just wanna verify.
Right? And then for policy, I got Wright, Schindler, and Higgins.
Okay, and then on strategic planning, it would be Krista, and then it would have to be Ryan. Because you had him as chair of building and grounds, correct? And then Ranky as chair of budget and finance.
Thank you, everyone.
No, it's Dave. Ryan's not on, so it's the regular policy, it's Dave. Would be me, Dave, and Brad.
All right, item 14C, discussion discussion of date of strategic planning retreat. There's some dates listed on the back of our, what you call this, cover sheets, what you
Yep.
call it?
Mhm.
Okay, it looks like we have Mondays and Tuesdays and a Friday. Monday, Tuesday, 26th, 27th of this month, 30th of this month. February, we got the 2nd, the 3rd. I would ask that we try to avoid February. I have got other obligations the first week of February.
I'd like to avoid the 30th of January.
That leaves us the 26th or the 27th.
Are you? How does that usually work, Kim? Is there, I know I've got kids at preschool, depending on if my wife works, is there time to, or is it?
We're pretty solid, pretty solid, and we eat lunch with the kids. Take a bathroom break as necessary, but it's not on the schedule.
Available for dinner, 26th or 27th.
Did you say yes?
For 26th or 27th of January, yes.
Yeah, you're okay for-
Those are good for me.
Okay.
Even the 26th.
Thursday.
It's his wife's birthday.
That'll work for Mr. Ford, Mr. Poison, Ms. Schindler, Mr. Wright, Mr. Higgins, yes? Mr. Ranky? So we gotta choose which one, 26th or 27th?
Let's go with the 26th.
26th?
That way it gets snow, but it has a.
All right, there you go. Everybody gets some sleep that Sunday night then. Okay? All right, the next item is, discussion of information concerning the action to choose superintendent search. Mr. Higgins, I understand that you have done a little research on that for us. Would you, take the floor and lead the discussion?
Obviously, there's multiple, I guess, places that do superintendent search, for school boards. One we used a few years ago was the SAB. They, I thought, did a very good job in the aspect of it's not something that I know that have time to start doing background calling people. They went ahead, the whole service includes, you meet with the board and says, what do you want? What qualities are you looking for? And so we try to match those, what the board's specifically looking for, and then match those. Then they're the only ones out there that I know of that they guarantee it for 2 years. If you're not satisfied, they'll find you another one for the initial price.
Really?
That's the
Something-
NSAB, right?
Yes. What I was really impressed with is, you always, people put down there who they want you to contact. It was people that weren't on those resumes that they contacted. I happen to be familiar with a couple of the other candidates that we interviewed. Like I said, they were flexible, basically they had guidelines from questions to what the board wants, and they're, obviously they do that very often. Another positive they had was, they deal with, and obviously they deal with the prospective superintendents, either through principals, stuff like that, so they have a really good working knowledge of them. But, like I said, when I was back to the NSAB, they contacted these people that weren't on the references, I felt like their background stuff was really good. As far as the other ones go, prices, when you look through there, they can vary from, from 2,000 up to 10. And somebody else, they don't have an actual basis, they all charge you for travel specifically, I guess. I just know, we used them a few years ago, and like I said, I really thought they did a very good job as far as guaranteed, associated provides a 2-year guarantee to boards that select option 1 and complete the board superintendent goal planning with an SAB. You have to take the whole package to get that 2-year guarantee.
That's the $6,000 then, right?
Yeah, 6.
Right, on the back page, am I
Yeah.
correct?
That's correct. There's, yeah. So as far as I can only speak for the ones that we used a few years ago, but like I said, I was overly impressed with listening to the board, and they specifically, tried to go out and get what the board wanted.
Is there a chance at this, is there a chance at the retreat that we could have a representative from NSAB or McPherson, Jacobson? That's another alphabet, NC.
NERSA.
Yeah, NERSA. Is there a chance at the retreat we could have them show up and give us a pitch for the board?
Could inquire. I don't know about their availability because it's season.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that they are facilitating this process right now with various other school districts. So it would depend on their availability, but I would definitely inquire.
One thing on that, availability, I know the NSAB will take us since we were members. As far as the other 2 organizations, it's kind of gonna, if they have availability to take us.
Okay.
We'll contact them if they could possibly be there to tell us that.
Okay, so, listening to Brad's comments, I mean, I'm gonna presume on you that he's making a polite suggestion that since we're already a member of this particular organization, that we could probably get it started rather quickly.
No, I wasn't saying that at all. I was just saying that with the other 2, they basically have to agree to, because if they've already taken on so many superintendent searches, they won't take us on. I don't know what their availability is.
So we should probably make a contact with them and find out.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, if you want to have them come on the 26th, if they're available.
Now, do you have to hire one of these services to find a superintendent?
No, we could put an ad in the paper and do it ourselves. I don't like to spend a dollar, but that was the best $6 grand we spent last time, because there's no way that I can sit back and go through the criteria to the procedures you go through hiring. I mean, obviously, this hiring a superintendent's one of the most important things the board's gonna have to do. So, you could do it yourself. I guarantee that I can't sit down and do the backgrounds. I can't call the references. Or I don't have the time or the expertise to do that like these companies do.
Now, do the superintendents also hire these companies?
Do superintendents hire these? No.
Right, if they're looking for a job,
We
would they
apply
hire?
through them.
You apply through them, but do you pay them a service fee or anything?
No. We apply through them. They all have websites.
Uh-huh.
And they all list openings in various districts.
Uh-huh.
And they have an application process, and most of them are online. You upload documents and, but no, you don't secure their services financially.
Or we could offer a contract back to the land.
Well, it's my understanding there's 26 or so open positions, and then if we need to get on this, if we're gonna get on it. Well,
Yeah, I'd have a hard time waiting for the February board meeting to want to hire somebody then. You know, I think the sooner we make the move here, and searching for superintendent, the better.
Well, I would suggest maybe let's do a three-member committee to, well, maybe not. I suppose I can make phone calls to these organizations and find out if they would be interested in sending a representative to catch up with us at the retreat, to give a little presentation to us, you know, and we can try to make a decision on which one to go with, or whether to just do it by ourselves. Is there any disagreement in the suggestion made? Or any other thoughts? Okay,
So you just want, table it till the twenty-sixth is what you're saying, that.
Right.
And then see if they have
Right.
one of the representatives that'll
Yep.
be there the twenty-sixth.
yep, give us a little presentation or 5 minutes of their time.
Okay.
All right, item,
Can I ask a question?
sure, George?
If you table it till the 26th to talk to the representatives, can you decide there, or is it an action item?
Well, it's an open meeting, the way I understand it, is
It
that
is an
correct?
open meeting, typically we advertise it as no action will be taken,
Mhm.
but
Does
we
it
could
have to be,
advertise it
does
so
it
that
have
action
to
could
be
be
action?
taken. To choose a superintendent search service, yes.
So it either is a board meeting or February 9th.
If we advertise the strategic planning retreat as that there will be action taken on the following agenda items, as long as the agenda items were very clear,
I'm just,
Right, no, it's a very valid point.
yes, then we could.
And then that was my issue, if you have these individuals, these other firms come and say why they're the best or whatever, at the retreat, we wouldn't vote on that until the 9th. Unless it was, it's advertised as an action item, it's an open meeting.
And we would probably advertise it also as to what time we would be doing that, approximately, so that the public could attend if they wanted to.
So you're suggesting on the 9th, we're gonna make a decision, we're gonna an action item to make a decision on which one of these groups to go with,
or the 26th.
or the 26th.
Right.
Or now.
Or now. Or now. I think we probably should wait till the 26th so that we can at least gather some information from them, and while we're looking at it here.
If we're gonna do that, why don't we wait till the 9th, get the information the 26th, and then we make a decision on the 9th. I don't think 10 days is gonna push it back too far.
But it's much more, the regular board meeting would be much easier for the general public to attend, this is a major issue, and,
I guess my only concern with that, Ryan, is the more days we wait, the more candidates are gone. I know there's other boards actively searching right now, and they're pulling the most qualified candidates. I mean, it's first come, first choose.
Mhm.
That's my only concern. You know, I'm way more comfortable, if not tonight, the 26th, to get the ball rolling.
But I also agree with Ryan in that this is and it's gonna be difficult for the public to be able to show up on a Monday afternoon to discuss this.
But in the same right, we are also only talking about the firm that's looking for somebody. We're not talking about the specific candidate, we're talking about the firm looking for candidates.
Mhm. That's all we're talking about, we're selecting a firm to do the search.
well, I would make a motion that, we have these firms come on the 26th, and that, as an action item, we can make a decision at that meeting on what firm we're gonna hire. Or how we're gonna proceed, as far as if we're gonna hire a firm, or if we can do it independently.
Okay, we got a motion
You just table, we don't need motion, I think.
Chris says something.
I just have one question. Before we look to spend $6,000, will there be an opportunity to discuss, I guess, the opportunity to look at this current superintendent leadership that we have now? Or is that, I mean, are we willing, and I understand we're in a time crunch here. We probably need to get out there and find somebody, but will there be an opportunity for us to discuss that?
We can discuss it right now, we have an open meeting, you know, if you have an opinion on it.
No, I was just simply asking if there was gonna be an opportunity to, if that was ever gonna come up. Obviously, only a few hours into this, I'm just asking if that will come up at any point, or have we gotten to the point where we say the resignation is there, we're living with that, we're not gonna discuss this as a new board, and we're gonna get a firm, and we're gonna go on from there.
I think as a board, it's time to move on. Mrs. Lingenfelter has given her resignation. It was accepted by the board during December. And I think it's time to move on and find a new superintendent.
I feel it's worth at least allowing the new board members the opportunity to work with Kim, to sit through the strategic planning retreat. We've also heard, several of us have heard from the community in support of keeping Kim on. This is a financially responsible thing to do, to spend $6,000 when we have a perfectly qualified candidate. I believe it's worth looking into, at least a discussion about. And like I said, to afford you the opportunity to work with her and get to know her.
I would have been afforded the opportunity, but Mrs. Lingenfelter resigned from her position. And in the professional world, if you resign, you resign. And it's time to move up to that company. If I work for somebody and I tell them I'm gonna resign, I can't go back to that company in a month or so, or 2 months, and say I want my job back. You can. There's some professional, you can ask any HR person out there, if we don't hire people back, they quit in a short period of time. If they decide to come back in 10 years, management changes, or what have you, it's a whole other ball of wax.
I would suggest that since Ms. Lingenfelter did resign, that we go ahead and proceed with the search. And if Ms. Lingenfelter would like to reapply for the job, she's more than welcome to reapply for the job.
Would we have to still pay for the search?
We still have to go through a process of a search.
That'd be stupid.
Seems
To hire, I mean.
No,
Totally.
I said, if she wants to reapply,
Yes, correct.
she wants to go through the search. If she wants to
And if she's the best candidate, we just wasted
$6,000.
How much
$6,000.
did we increase the budget by a year ago?
just a second, how do you know, you don't know what the best candidate is. For all you know, there's an old saying that the fear of loss is greater than anticipation of gain. You don't know what's out there. I'm not saying that Ms. Lingenfelter is not qualified. What I'm saying is, you need to follow a process, and that's what you need to do. Ms. Lingenfelter made a decision to resign. The board members chose to accept it. So let's move forward with the process to make sure that everything's on the up and up and it's fair. Let's ask everybody to apply that wants to apply for the job. And if Ms. Lingenfelter would like to reapply for the job, she can reapply for it. Otherwise, you give the sense that there's a little
And I understand that,
of
but,
a under the board play going on.
but do you think that's the financially responsible thing to do,
That-
paying for a $6,000, just hypothetically speaking,
The
for a
choice is out,
$6,000
but the
search?
choice is out of my hands already.
Yeah.
See, it's already happened.
Yeah,
I can't go back and, look, that's, the water's under the bridge.
So you're saying the board couldn't offer Mrs. Lingenfelter a contract?
I'm not saying it couldn't. I'm making a suggestion that says, we've already proceeded, we've already gone down a road. And I'm saying we need to make it above board as much as possible.
That's why I was asking if we would have the opportunity to discuss it. That's all I was asking. I mean, there's another old saying that says, if it's not broken, then why try to fix it? And I just wanted to say, with the new board that we have assembled here tonight, would we have the opportunity to discuss the opportunity? Because again, you can say we can spend $6,000 and Ms. Lingenfelter may or may not reapply for that position. But we could end up with a much worse situation too. Just because we pay $6,000 for a search, we have a guarantee. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that's gonna be a good leader for our school or for our community. I think we need to look at what we have
That's a
here
good
today.
point, because leaders don't quit. They don't quit their teammates, they don't quit their patrons, and then they ask to be back. And they go, if you're wrestling on the wrestling team, Neligh Invitational, you decide to quit, you can't get back on the team week before districts. That's a very good point about leadership.
I also believe in second chances.
As I said earlier, Ms. Lingenfelter resigned. The board accept her resignation. We're already 2 months behind. We need to move forward with the process. If we have 10 candidates, and if Ms. Lingenfelter chooses to reapply for the job, and if she's head and shoulders above the other candidates, then great. But if there's another candidate that may be better, may have other qualities, I'm just saying, you don't know, you need to go through the process. Those decisions have already been made. You know, $6,000 to do
We could put it on the agenda for next month to offer Superintendent Lingenfelter a contract.
yes, that is possible, you could do that.
You also could have, in December, offered her a contract, and now you voted to accept her resignation, Brad. And that ship has sailed.
See, I want to stay professional above board on this. I really do. Decisions have been made, and we have to honor them and work with those.
Or we could have this debate if Del Ames should still be on the board too, but he also resigned. Just how far back do you want to go on decisions that have been made? I'm not interested in entertaining Del Ames as a candidate tonight, because he resigned. I think as a board, we need to move ahead and see what opportunities are out there.
If he would have showed up tonight, I would have entertained him as a candidate.
That's the difference between me and you, Brad.
Just a second. The point is, you would entertain him as a candidate. You wouldn't look at him and say, Dale, would you like the position back? He would have had to have gone through the process to be interviewed just like everyone else, to be seated back at